today's story today. Okay. I love Harlem. I just get distracted by how cute she is. I love all babies. So in today's story, we're going to hear about Jesus walking on the water. Jesus walks on the water right after he was alone on a mountain. So we heard last week in church about how Jesus fed over 5,000 people with just a few fish and a couple of loaves of bread. And then he sends the disciples out on a boat.
I'm going to say something.
But Jesus goes up on a mountain to pray alone. He wanted to be alone. I wonder if you've ever felt tired or like you wanted to be alone. Don't have to answer, but I know I grew up with two brothers, so I think about you guys, Palmer and Chatham and Harlem, because I often wanted my brothers to just leave me alone. And Cynthia and I were talking the other day about how during this time of the coronavirus, it's been so different that sometimes we really do find ourselves very tired, needing a break, out of energy, maybe feeling sad, maybe wanting space to be alone, or on the flip side, feeling really lonely because we have been alone too much. I know I need time to relax, and this story about Jesus, we'll talk more about him walking on the water. It reminds us, and I love the reminder that even Jesus, who was the Son of God, both human and fully God, even Jesus needed time alone and time to recharge and reconnect with God. So I wonder, what are the ways that we reconnect with God or reconnect with ourselves and each other? There are many ways to do it. And so we did this a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, but we did a little show and share. So I'm going to tell you what to do in a second. But I would love kids, adults too, if you look around your space and maybe find something that reminds you of a way that you connect to God. So it doesn't have to be literal. And it could also be a way that you connect to other people or to yourself. Like, what are the ways that you recharge? And maybe we can share ideas with one another. If you don't have anything near you and you would like to share, you're also welcome to just tell us about it. And I'll go first. So I have, this is my Kindle, and this is how I read books. Now, during the first couple months of the pandemic, I was so tired that I couldn't read anything at all, aside from getting ready for church every week. And so even though I normally read every night during like March, April, I couldn't. But now that things have started to feel like, oh, this is how life is now. Yeah, I read every night, and that just helps me connect with the wider world and helps me to recharge and reconnect. Another example is, remember Mr. Chicken back here? Chicken, of course, doesn't give me more energy, but chicken reminds me of how important play and laughter are. So you kids are really great at playing and laughing, but sometimes we adults forget that we need to laugh and be silly from time to time, me especially. So laughter with friends on the phone really helps me connect with each other, with my friends, and with God too. God has given us a spirit of joy. All right. Any other volunteers out there got something you want to share? You can, if you know how to unmute yourself, or you can just raise your hand, or you can start talking.
Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem.
Harlem. Yeah.
She's always running around, and when I'm sometimes tired, she wants me to play with her, so I come and play in her, and then it's like 10 o'clock at night sometimes, and I can't go to sleep.
Yeah. So sometimes when we're tired, connecting with each other can make us feel better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Adults, you're welcome to share too. Anybody find anything or think of anything? Okay.
I do a little reading at bedtime.
Do a little reading at bedtime? Yeah. What about you, Beth?
This is my grandson, Aiden. He's on a picture on my blanket. I connect with him every day, and he gives me a lot of strength and energy, because when he's visited this summer, I'm always on my toes, but every day I see him on FaceTime. So anyhow, he's a great source of wanting to make sure I am full of energy.
Mm. Okay, thanks, Beth. What about you, Laverne?
I have a little book by my bedside that I've had for years and years and years called The Prayers of David. And I love to read a little, almost every night, not every night, but almost every night. I read some of David's prayers, and it just lifts me up to hear the prayers that he prayed from the time he was a young man until he was an older man. It's really wonderful. If any of you can get a hold of that book, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
Wonderful. Thanks, Laverne. Palmer, chat, do you guys have your rocks right there with you by any chance?
Yeah, mine's not dry.
Here, you can still show it.
Yeah, so speaking of David, in Sunday school, they talked about Psalm 62, a Psalm of David. And David said, God, you are my rock. So you guys want to lift him up, put him close to the camera?
The cross is upside down.
That's okay. So they made rocks in Sunday school. Ooh, I think Palmer painted hers. That's beautiful. The rocks to remember, God, you are my rock. All right, Charlene.
I watch my birds. I have a bird feeder right out my window, and they get silly when they do switching the ports that they want to get into. And so I enjoy that. And then I see sometimes a brilliant red-headed woodpecker comes and feasts. And he is a delight to watch. The Lord is full of delight.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Well, thank you all for sharing. So yes, there's so many ways. We're all so different, but there are many ways that we can connect to God and to one another to recharge our bodies and our spirits and our minds. And sometimes in life we need different things depending on what's going on. But thank you all for sharing. And thanks be to God for reminding us that even Jesus needed a break. It's okay to take one. And thank God for all the wonder and beauty there is, even when the world is hard.